What if I told you that everything you've ever believed about Jim Jones and Chrissy was nothing but an illusion? Sounds wild, right? But here's the twist. What if I said that Cameron, yes, the same Cameron we all know, single-handedly shattered everything they had built? He walked into that courtroom and dismantled their carefully crafted reality with one bold move. And believe me, the secrets he uncovered will leave you speechless. But here's the real kicker. Jim Jones, the man who thought he was invincible, the one we all believed was untouchable, watched it all unravel before everyone's eyes. There he stood, completely exposed, as everything he'd built came crashing down. And Chrissy? Well, after this, she won't be the same person you remember. She thought she could escape it all. Not anymore. Do you honestly believe Chrissy was the mastermind behind everything? Do you really think Jim Jones had no clue? The truth is far darker than you imagine. And Cameron? He just lifted the veil on a scandal that will leave you in shock. What happens when the people closest to you turn against you in the most public way possible? When everything you've built crumbles right before your eyes? This isn't just another celebrity scandal. This is the scandal of the year. Are you ready to have your mind blown? Stay tuned because this is just the start. As the days went by, the situation became even more tangled. The public was no longer merely following the trial. They were consumed by it. Every new leak, every fresh rumor, only stoked the flames. It felt like the entire world was on edge, waiting for the next piece of the puzzle to fall into place. Would Melly be acquitted, or was the evidence too damning? The video footage that had leaked was a game changer, but it didn't provide the clarity everyone hoped for. Though blurry and inconclusive, the footage appeared to show two figures in a car, likely Melly and his alleged co-conspirator, Bortland. But with no concrete details, it was impossible to say for sure. Was this the crucial evidence that could clear Melly's name? Or was it just another confusing fragment that would make everything more complicated? The defense team pounced on the ambiguity, arguing that the footage was too vague to carry any real weight in court. They argued that it was nothing more than another ploy to confuse the jury, to cast doubt where none should exist, a strategy to sway public opinion rather than offer a clear recount of events. But the prosecution wasn't going down without a fight. They seized on the footage, pointing out that while it may not have been perfectly clear, it still placed Melly at the scene during a critical moment. What made matters worse for Melly's defense was the shocking revelation about his past. A number of former associates stepped forward, claiming that Melly had made cryptic threats before the murders occurred. According to them, he had voiced his anger and frustration over being betrayed, and some even went as far as to say that he had threatened to take action into his own hands if things didn't go his way. Was this the behavior of an innocent man? Or was it a sign of something far more sinister? As if the situation wasn't already dire enough, Bortland, Melly's longtime friend and co-defendant, made a move that sent shockwaves through the courtroom. Rumors had been swirling for weeks about a potential plea deal, and now it seemed like it was finally coming to fruition. In a jaw-dropping turn of events, Bortland's defense team confirmed that he was negotiating with the prosecution for a reduced sentence in exchange for testifying against Melly. This was a devastating blow to Melly's case. Bortland had been his last line of defense, his closest ally. But now, with Bortland potentially flipping, the prosecution had gained an insider with intimate knowledge of the events that led to the murders. The atmosphere in the courtroom was electric, the tension unbearable, as Bortland's betrayal sent waves of speculation and fear through the crowd. Was this the final nail in Melly's defense? Was his best friend about to turn on him in exchange for a lighter sentence? Fans of the rapper were stunned, and the Free Melly movement seemed to be losing its momentum as more and more people began to question his innocence. But the drama didn't end there. A whistleblower, a former member of Melly's inner circle, came forward with explosive new information that would add fuel to the already raging fire. The whistleblower, who had been granted anonymity for their safety, came forward with a shocking claim. They had first-hand knowledge of Melly's involvement in the murders. According to the whistleblower, they had been present in the aftermath of the killings and had witnessed Melly actively disposing of evidence. Even more damning, they alleged that Melly had confessed to the murders during private conversations. The testimony was explosive, and it seemed to confirm the darkest suspicions of those who believed Melly was guilty. Of course, the defense team tried to discredit the whistleblower, labeling them a disgruntled former associate seeking attention and money. But the testimony, combined with a growing number of witnesses speaking against Melly, was starting to paint an undeniably troubling picture. With every new piece of evidence, Melly's world seemed to tighten around him. Then came the final blow. A leaked recording of a conversation between Melly and his lawyer that suggested the possibility of a plea deal. In the recording, Melly expressed concerns about the case's outcome and discussed the idea of pleading guilty to lesser charges to avoid a life sentence. The recording was devastating. If Melly was truly considering a plea deal, it would imply he was ready to admit guilt, and that could be enough to change the jury's perspective for good. The prosecution wasted no time in seizing the opportunity, presenting the recording as proof that Melly knew he was guilty and was looking to avoid the consequences of his actions by cutting a deal. The defense naturally denied the authenticity of the recording, but by then, the damage had been done. The public was now questioning every aspect of Melly's case. Meanwhile, his fans were divided. Some continued to stand by him, claiming he was the victim of a corrupt system and a vast conspiracy aimed at bringing him down. Others, however, started to feel the crushing weight of the evidence mounting against him. Could it be true? Was Melly truly capable of committing the crimes he was accused of? As the trial entered its final stages, the burning question on everyone's mind was clear. Would Melly walk free, or would he face a life behind bars? The legal drama had escalated into a global spectacle. The media couldn't get enough. Social media platforms exploded with each new update, every leaked piece of information, and each jaw-dropping twist in the case. Celebrities and influencers took sides, voicing their opinions on Melly's guilt or innocence. The entire world seemed to be watching, waiting for the final verdict. But as the trial neared its conclusion, an even more shocking development unfolded: Melly's personal statement to the court. In a dramatic turn, Melly took the stand to defend himself. His testimony was charged with emotion as he vehemently denied any involvement in the murders, insisting on his innocence. He spoke of his troubled upbringing, his struggles, and how he had always strived to do the right thing, painting himself as a victim of circumstance. The moment was raw, deeply personal, and for many, it seemed to resonate within the courtroom. But was it enough? The real question remained. Could Melly's heartfelt testimony truly sway a jury that had already seen so much damning evidence? Would his emotional plea be the turning point in his favor? Or was it just a last-ditch effort that wouldn't be enough to counter the weight of the case against him? The world was about to find out. As the trial came to an end, the jury began deliberating, and the entire globe held its breath. Would Melly be found guilty, or would he somehow walk free, despite the mounting evidence? Whatever the outcome, one thing was clear: the verdict would send shockwaves through the world. This case had shifted everything. The saga of Y.W. Melly had evolved into something far bigger than just a murder trial. It had become a battle between a celebrity, the legal system, and the complexities of fame and fortune colliding in ways no one had ever seen before. As the trial neared its final chapter, the stage was set for a gripping conclusion. Would the truth finally come to light? Only time would reveal the answer, but what happens when the floodgates open? When all the secrets come rushing out and you find yourself at the heart of a scandal you can't control? Well, that's exactly what we're about to witness. The drama unfolding between Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin is far from a simple tale of personal betrayal. Oh no, this is a full-blown public meltdown. Let's unpack the chaos that's shaking up social media and beyond. When Cameron took the stand, he didn't just talk about financial manipulation or controlling relationships. He exposed a carefully constructed empire built on lies, deceit, and manipulation. But here's the twist. The public doesn't yet know the full story. Cameron didn't drop all of his bombs in the courtroom. Oh no, he's been letting those truths trickle out, one after another, each revelation slowly sinking Jim and Chrissy's ship. What we discovered in the courtroom only scratched the surface. What Cameron has kept hidden will only make the situation worse. The extent of what Cameron allegedly uncovered is truly mind-blowing. Documents in the hands of investigative reporters, have revealed that Jim wasn't even the sole decision-maker in his career and finances. It was Chrissy. The woman who portrayed herself as Jim's loyal partner and confidant was actually the one pulling all the strings behind the scenes. She wasn't just standing by his side as a supportive girlfriend. She was the force behind the big decisions, the one managing their finances, and the one shaping their public narrative, and that's just the beginning. While Jim was out in the spotlight, rapping and hyping up crowds at concerts, Chrissy was quietly handling the wealth they were amassing. She allegedly had complete control over their business dealings, and it wasn't just limited to a few sponsorships or deals. No, it went much deeper. We're talking offshore accounts, shell companies, and a tangled web of hidden assets that only a select few were aware of. All of this was happening while Jim was caught up in his career, believing that Chrissy had his best interests at heart. But Cameron wasn't finished there. He took things a step further by shining a light on the darker side of their relationship. Sources close to the situation claim that Chrissy's control extended far beyond just the money. She was reportedly playing a huge role in controlling Jim's public image too. Every move he made, every deal he signed, it all had Chrissy's fingerprints on it. She was curating every aspect of their relationship, ensuring they maintained the perfect couple facade for the public eye. Now, here's where it gets even more troubling. The money laundering aspect of their financial dealings has raised alarm bells. According to sources Cameron allegedly uncovered, Jim and Chrissy were involved in questionable, and by questionable we mean illegal, financial transactions. Money meant for their business dealings was being funneled through hidden accounts and shell companies, creating a network of financial deception that could potentially ruin them both. The truth behind their empire might just be more dangerous than anyone realized. A mini allegedly even used for personal expenses that had nothing to do with their career. The worst part? It wasn't a mistake. This wasn't some accidental oversight. No, this was a meticulously planned strategy designed to hide their wealth and keep it out of the public eye. And Cameron wasn't going to let them slide. He laid it all bare in that courtroom, from Chrissy's manipulation of Jim to the complex financial schemes they had been running in the shadows. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, it did. According to those same anonymous sources, the couple's dirty laundry didn't just date back a few months or years. It stretched all the way to the beginning of their relationship. From the very start, Chrissy had been using Jim as a pawn in a carefully crafted game to secure wealth and power. This wasn't some love story gone wrong. This was a calculated, cold-blooded plan to seize control of Jim's life and future. Jim Jones wasn't just any celebrity. He was a rapper, a businessman, and a well-established name in the hip-hop world. But all the while, he was being played by someone he trusted completely. It's almost poetic in its tragedy, in a sense. Jim built his career from the ground up, working hard to create a name for himself. But behind closed doors, Chrissy was calling the shots. Every decision she made wasn't just shaping their financial future. It was quietly manipulating Jim's every move. But that's not even the full story. This isn't just about financial schemes or relationship drama. It's about public perception. And that's where things took a shocking turn. As soon as Cameron revealed the truth, the public had an absolute field day. Social media erupted with fans turning on Jim and Chrissy in a way no one had ever seen before. The shockwaves spread across the internet, and people were quick to dig into the couple's past, uncovering every questionable decision they had made. Questions flooded in. Was everything we saw on TV just a show? Was their relationship all just a facade? And according to Cameron, the answer was a resounding yes. The revelation hit hardest when it became clear. Jim Jones was no longer the one in control. Once the courtroom revelations went public, Jim's empire began to collapse. Trust evaporated, even among those who had once stood by his side. His closest allies started to distance themselves, questioning whether they had unknowingly become a part of the web of lies spun by Chrissy. The betrayal was raw, and the aftermath was devastating. The burning question everyone was asking now: where does Jim go from here? The truth is, the fallout from these revelations could be irreversible. Jim's known for being a fighter, a survivor. But this is different. This isn't just a petty feud with Cameron or a scripted drama for TV. This is his entire public persona, shattered by someone he trusted implicitly. And let's face it, no one in the hip-hop industry wants to be the next one exposed for doing shady business with a fraud. So when you lose your reputation and your career, what's left? Everything slips through your fingers. At the very least, you lose all the control you thought you had. It's no longer about being a rapper with a few hits. It's about salvaging whatever's left of your name and legacy. This isn't a storm that's going to pass quickly. The toll it takes on Jim's career and personal life will be immense, and I wouldn't be surprised if this scandal stays with him for the rest of his life. The damage is done. As for Chrissy Lampkin, she's far from escaping unscathed. If you thought her role in all this would fly under the radar, you couldn't have been more wrong. She's being dragged through the mud right alongside Jim, and here's the kicker. She might have been the one who set all this in motion. Now, Chrissy's been revealed as the mastermind behind much of the manipulation and deceit. The perfect couple image they had so carefully cultivated, it was all smoke and mirrors. Behind the scenes, Chrissy was reportedly calling the shots, pulling the strings, and using Jim as a pawn in her game. For years, the public bought into her image as the loving, supportive partner. But now, she's the one facing the harsh glare of the spotlight. The backlash against her is fierce. People are seeing her for what she truly is, a manipulative figure whose carefully constructed persona is falling apart faster than a house of cards. The public's perception of Chrissy is crumbling, and she's not escaping this unscathed. Fans are demanding answers, and they want accountability. Chrissy's image has been shattered, and people are relentless in their quest for the truth. Social media is flooded with outrage, and the hashtag #ChrissyExposed is trending everywhere. Every tweet, meme, and comment is another reminder that the public has turned on her. No longer is she the loyal girlfriend by Jim's side. Now she's the mastermind behind a web of deceit and manipulation, using their relationship for her own personal gain. And that's a hard narrative to shake off, no matter how much she tries to deny it. The legal implications of this situation are looming large. The courtroom drama didn't just unveil personal betrayals, it raised some very serious legal concerns. We're talking about potential financial fraud, money laundering, and the manipulation of business deals. And once the law starts looking into things, trust me, it's not going to be pretty. Reports from anonymous sources suggest that authorities are already investigating the couple's financial dealings. They're digging into everything from offshore accounts to hidden assets. And these aren't just baseless rumors. There are real investigations underway. If the accusations hold up, they could face serious charges, including tax evasion and criminal conspiracy. These aren't just legal problems, they're career-ending issues. But here's where it gets even more complicated. While Jim may no longer be in control of his life, Chrissy isn't off the hook either. Sources say she's already making plans to separate herself from Jim. And when you start distancing yourself from the chaos, it's usually because you've been at the center of it all along. When the heat is on, the first to jump ship is often the person who's been pulling the strings from behind the scenes. It seems Chrissy's next move will be all about self-preservation. But the real question is, can she escape this unscathed, or will the fallout destroy everything she's worked to build? Chrissy has been accused of manipulating Jim, using his career as a launchpad for her own success. But what happens when her carefully constructed empire starts to unravel? Will she throw Jim under the bus to save herself? According to sources, that's exactly what's happening behind closed doors. And the fallout is only just beginning. This isn't just a breakup between two people. It's a public and professional meltdown with far-reaching consequences.